So we have an Eulerian approach. And we have a Lagrangian approach. So this is also known as spatial description. And this is known as material description. So what is the difference between the two? In spatial description, field is described as a function of position. Position in space. Suppose you have some fluid passing through it. At this point of time, at this position, fluid has this density, this velocity. So you are talking of description of the property as a function of position and time. You don't describe it to a particle. Particle will occupy this position at this point of time. It will have this density, this velocity. Another point, at this point position, this is the another velocity and density will be there. So you're not describing the velocity of a particle with respect to time. You are describing the value of the property at the position in space. So this is known as spatial description. If you have a material description, you will say you have a particle at this point of time, this is the velocity, this is the density. So you are following a particle. In material description. How do you find acceleration in material description? You say it is just dv by dt. So you are giving velocity of the particle as a function of time, and you have to just take derivative of the different components with time. But if you have a spatial description, then you say velocity is equal to velocity of x, y, t so you have velocity at a point. Once the particle has this velocity position and time, this position at this time, this is the velocity. At another position and time, you have another velocity. So you're given velocity as a function of position and time. So suppose you have a particle at this position and time. Now that particle has moved to certain other position.
So the screen is not displayed.
Okay, okay. So particle initially was here. Now it is at certain other position. So how do you find the position? Now it is at some other position, x plus delta x, y plus delta y, z plus delta z, at time t plus delta t. So this is velocity at this new position. What this will be? Initial position plus del v by del t into delta t plus del v by del x into delta x. How do you get this result? Now you describe velocity as a spatial field, as a function of position. You're not chasing individual particle, but that particle which was here comes to this position. So you can say velocity at this time and position is equal to this. So this is nothing but Taylor's theorem. You already know Taylor's theorem. Difference between these 2 points is what? Delta x, delta y, delta z, delta t. So correspondingly, you have written these terms. These are first order change in velocity because of change in position and time. Now, what is a delta x? Delta x will be nothing but v1 delta t. v1 is the x component of velocity at time t. What will be delta y? v2 delta t. What will be delta z? v3 delta t. Any doubts? So you can write this as okay. Now, what is your acceleration? Difference of velocity. Now you are chasing a particle. This is absolute velocity acceleration. Particle velocity at this time minus particle velocity at previous time divided by delta t is your acceleration. So what do you get? Delta v by delta t plus you will see what is this v1, v2, v3. So this is nothing but velocity dot gradient of velocity. Can you see this? What is gradient of velocity? Del by del x, del by del y, del by del z. And what is the velocity? v1, v2, v3. So you see v1, v2, v3 dot product with gradient of velocity gives you this term. You're divided by delta t for finding acceleration. So delta t is gone from all these terms. Is it all right? Somewhere.
Yes, sir.
So this is known as convective term, convective part of the term, part of acceleration. This is a local term. Any doubts? So this kind of a expression is coming because we are using spatial description. Had we described velocity of a particle directly, material description, then we would have directly got del v by del t as acceleration. But since we have a low spatial description of velocity field, we use this. For fluid mechanics, we generally describe spatial description because we say there is a control volume, fluid is passing through it. We cannot change individual particle. While in solid mechanics, we can change individual particle. Your body travels from here to there. We can find how each particle is moving. Number of particles are limited. They are well known from the beginning to end. While in fluid mechanics, you have something flowing through a control volume. So this approach, spatial description, is useful for fluid mechanics, and Lagrangian approach is useful for solid mechanics. Any questions? So now we have a, for example, some, this is known as initial configuration. And you have a final configuration. So there is a mapping between the two. So this is your some particle at position x. The same particle is at position x now. So you can define a mapping. Any problem? Okay, now things are going to be little weird. Let us see. So this we call like your reference configuration. This is your current configuration. So, so let current configuration you say PT. T represents the time, and this is your reference configuration is P. Now we take some quantity. We call it phi. Now we integrate this quantity over the volume. Let's call it omega. And we want its total time derivative. So this is nothing but time derivative. You can call it total time derivative. Any problem with this state? This. So we have some quantity defined phi. This is something per unit volume. You multiply it with d omega. You integrate it. So this becomes total quantity of the in the object. You want its time derivative. Now, suppose you want to deal with the reference geometry. Time, this current geometry is always changing. So you can write it like phi. So there is a transformation from reference to current, and volume change over the transformation is given by J. So you see d omega. So this is some kind of a determinant of the mapping. This is also called Jacobian. You saw Jacobian in the last class when we talked about Jacobian. So something similar. There we had gone from a local coordinate system to a global coordinate system. and we defined a Jacobian. What is the volume in a local coordinate system? What is the volume in a global coordinate system? That ratio was called Jacobian. Same thing is happening here. We are mapping from reference to current, and the relation between the volumes mapped is given by J. Now we want its total time derivative. You see, it becomes easy to find total time derivative when we are handling reference geometry, because now reference geometry is not a function of time. Otherwise, you have to worry about how reference geometry is changing, how the current geometry is changing with time. Any problem, Soumya?
No, sir.
It is little tricky business. Now we wants its derivative, time derivative. You see, P and volume, they are not a function of time. They are reference geometry. Current geometry keeps changing with time, but these fellows will not change. But phi and j will change. So I can write P. So this is, I just use product rule of differentiation. Any problem? Now I have used a result. Time derivative of j is equal to j divergence of velocity. Some with this result I have. What is its logic? I don't recall right now. So divergence of velocity, you understand? Soumya? What is divergence of velocity?
So del V by del X plus del, so del V1 by del X plus del V2 by del X
Very good.
plus
What is
del
the
V3
physical
by del Z.
significance? What is its physical significance? What is the physical significance?
The area of, I think.
So this is known as volumetric expansion per unit volume. Volumetric expansion rate per unit volume. So we'll see what is the meaning of this. How volume is changing, and everything is found per unit volume. You can call it like a volumetric strain. So look, volumetric expansion per unit volume, change in volume upon original volume. So you can call it volumetric strain rate. So we'll just see also whether what I'm saying is right or wrong. But you know this is divergence of velocity. This is also written as divergence of velocity. Gradient vector, all of you know, and this is your velocity vector. Okay. Now suppose you are given this result. The time derivative of J, Jacobian, is Jacobian into divergence of velocity. Now what you can do with this? So this expression becomes Can I write like this? J d omega r is equal to d omega. You started here. D omega is equal to J d omega r. Now you go back to d omega. So you have J d omega r, you go back to d omega. So now you have gone back to current geometry. So all this exercise you did because you wanted total time derivative. And this is Reynolds transport theorem. So what do you get? Phi d omega integral pt total time derivative is this. So this is an integral identity that is valid when the spatial region pt convex with the body. Suppose your phi is 1. You take phi is equal to 1. Now phi is something you have not put any restrictions so far on phi. You take phi is equal to 1. What do you get? So this is your integrating the volume at a particular time, how it is changing. Phi dot 1 is a constant, so its derivative is 0. So you get phi divergence of velocity phi is 1. So divergence of velocity. Now, how can volume not change? If you have something called isochoric motion, this is called isochoric motion. So deformed volume is independent of time. So you have an incompressible fluid, for example. Incompressible body. So what you will have? Your divergence of velocity should be 0. You know that is a condition of incompressibility. Once this is 0, it means divergence of velocity has to be 0. Otherwise, you cannot have it. Now we also can take phi is equal to rho. If you take phi is equal to rho, what you will get? Rho d omega pt time derivative. This is equal to what? Rho dot plus rho divergence of velocity d omega integral. You see, mass can never be destroyed. Conservation of mass. As your body goes around, this term has to be zero. This is the total mass in that convecting volume. So how you can have this term as zero? It means rho dot plus rho divergence of velocity has to be zero. Any problem with this? So this is known as your local mass balance. What is this rho dot? Rho dot is d rho by dt. What is d rho by dt, Soumya? Yes. We had done dv by dt. What was dv by dt? Del v by del t plus v dot gradient of v. You recognize it? Now, instead of velocity, if I put rho, what do I get? First thing is del rho by del t, corresponding to this, plus velocity dot gradient of rho. Do you agree? Yes, Soumya.
Yes, sir.
It is something coming from Taylor's theorem. Instead of velocity, you are writing rho. And this V represents as the particle goes from one position to another position, the displacement will be a function of velocity components. You see, velocity u v1 delta t into v2 delta t, v3 delta t. That way, the position will change. So this is nothing difficult to find. You just apply what I did for this, apply to rho, and you will see the same result. Now I told you that this term is always zero because mass is always conserved. So this equation will be, if this is zero, then this has to be zero inside. So this is local mass balance. That was an integral statement. Now this is a differential statement. So you see, it is a very powerful statement. This Reynolds transport theorem. All these equations you must have seen before, but you did not use Reynolds transport theorem for it. So what do you get? So this was, I'm here. Rho dot is nothing but delta rho by delta t plus v dot gradient of rho plus rho divergence of velocity. Divergence of velocity is this. So this is nothing but delta rho by delta t plus divergence of, just check out. If you do divergence of rho velocity, you use product rule of differentiation. So rho dot divergence of rho del dot v plus v dot gradient of rho. You see, this is a vector. Gradient of rho is a vector. So you can dot product with a vector. This is a scalar rho. So del dot v is also a scalar. So all terms are individually scalars. You just see, if I just want to do divergence of rho v, how do I do divergence of rho v? Soumya, any idea?
No, sir.
If you want to write it in component form, it will be rho vi. Do you agree with this?
Yes, sir.
So this is divergence operation. When you do a comma I, and inside you are having a term depending on I. Now what will I get? Product rule of differentiation. Rho comma I, vi plus rho vi comma I. So you see, this is nothing but gradient of rho. And this is nothing but your vector v. This is rho divergence of velocity. So all these things are very good tricks. If you know them, your life will be easy. All right. So this way I brought from this, I've shown you the equivalence of these two. Okay. So this is, you must have seen, this is your conservation of mass equation at local level. Okay, now what we do? We use this equation again. We added phi d omega, phi dot plus phi divergence. So we had phi d omega. So this we wanted to find, and we wrote phi divergence of velocity d omega. So phi d omega pt, total time derivative, is equal to pt phi dot plus phi divergence of velocity d omega. You see, this was the relation, phi d omega pt dot. Okay. Now let's look at it. If I take phi as well momentum. What is this rho into v? Rho v d omega. What is it? So what does this term means? Linear momentum. Rho and d omega is mass. This is velocity. So you are finding time derivative of linear momentum of the body. So what this will be equal to? Now here instead of phi dot you put rho v time derivative plus rho v divergence of velocity d omega integral. And this is your, what is this term equal to? This is the net force applied on the body. What is Newton's second law? Time derivative of linear momentum is equal to the net force applied on the body. Any problem with this? So net force applied on the body is time derivative of linear momentum, and this is time derivative of linear momentum. Okay. Now let us see what is this equal to. Okay, let us see. So let us see what we have found from the conservation of mass. Del rho by del t plus divergence of rho v equal to 0. Now let us look at this term. Rho v total time derivative. So what that will be equal to del by del t of rho v plus velocity dot gradient of rho v. Can we write like this, Soumya?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is this term I have written down. Now this becomes velocity del rho by del t plus rho del v by del t plus, now we have to just see if we can use this equation in some way. Del rho by del t plus divergence of rho v equal to 0. What is this equal to? Velocity dot gradient of rho v. It's a rho v time derivative. It will be this plus velocity Is it a dot product? V dot gradient of rho v. What was acceleration? In acceleration, we were having a dot product. Acceleration was a dot product or a matrix product? V dot del v by del x. You see, this is not exactly a dot product because gradient of velocity is a vector, but it was some kind of a contraction. So, because your final answer was a vector, this matrix of order 2 got contracted to a vector. V dot. Okay. So now I was just wondering if I can velocity if I take out del rho by del t plus gradient of rho v. I'm just wondering plus rho del v by del t plus rho v. So first I have to check whether this is matching with my rho del rho by del t plus divergence of rho v. This is not divergence of rho v. Okay. So let me write the equation of conservation of mass del rho by del t plus divergence of rho velocity is equal to 0. So we have to see how we can get divergence of rho velocity. So this goes off. Something is amiss. So this is all right. We have got 5 minutes. Let me try. Velocity del rho by del t plus rho del u by del t plus velocity dot gradient of rho v. Okay, the good way will be I write it in indices form. If I write it in indices form, it becomes Vj rho v I comma j. If I write like this, rho v gradient becomes comma j, and by taking dot product, you are having this dot product plus rho v divergence of velocity. Rho v, let's call it j. Divergence of velocity is v I comma I. That's the way I will write to write. Now it becomes like a vector. J is a free index. This becomes a dummy index I. Now let's play with this. So this is V J rho comma J V I comma J. What am I doing? rho comma j vi plus rho vi comma j plus rho vj v comma I. And this was nothing but here our j is a free index. Oh, I comma I here. Here here my I is a free index. The way I have done, I have taken I as a free index. So what I can do is I I put everywhere I as a free index. So this becomes Vi delta rho by delta t plus rho delta Vi by delta t plus Vj rho comma j Vi plus rho Vi comma j plus rho Vi. I put everywhere with I as a free index. And this is what delta rho by delta t plus rho Vi comma I is equal to 0. So we have to somewhere use it. Okay, that's the main idea. So let's see. Del rho by del t, Vi is there. Oh, so time is up. Do you have any class right now? Somewhere?
No, sir.
Okay, so I just struggle for another few minutes to see if I can get the right equation. You are following what I am doing. So these are some tricks you do to tackle this kind of algebra. So let me see if I can somehow find this combination. Okay. Vi del rho by del t. So let me pick terms having Vi. So I have got this term. So I have clubbed all terms having Vi. So let us see what does this term look like. Del rho by del t plus, you see here, rho Vi comma I. Rho Vi comma I. This is same as this. Plus Vi into rho comma I. You see this term is same as your mass balance equation. Soumya, can you see this?
Yes, sir.
You see del rho by del t, same as this. I take derivative with I, rho Vi comma I. First I am taking with Vi. Rho Vi comma I, this is same as I comma I. When it is a dummy index, doesn't matter what you call it. Plus rho comma I Vi. Rho comma I Vi. You see, same thing. So this entire thing is zero because of mass conservation. So what you are left with? rho Vi. What have done? Rho del Vi by del T plus, I can take rho common, Vj delta, sorry, now that's it. Can you recognize this term, Soumya? Yes.
No, sir.
You see, once you have a free index, this is a free index here, suppose. So this is your velocity vector. And this is looking like your gradient of velocity. So you have got V dot gradient of velocity. What does it look like? Is it not a convective term of acceleration? And this is your local derivative. You see, this is nothing but rho dv by dt. This is your total time derivative. So what you found was your F net is equal to so we'll continue with it. You think about it, okay? There is a very good book in fluid mechanics. Do you people come to the library? Do you come to DTU or you're all staying away?
So we are staying away.
Okay. So I don't know if this book is available. There's a book, Fluid Mechanics. If you can get hold of this book. You look at net, nowadays a lot of books are available. People can just download them. This is one very good book in fluid mechanics. So this book is used in IIT Kanpur. Khandekar is an IITK faculty, Samir Khandekar. And there is another good book in fluid mechanics. So you look at them, okay? So we'll carry on with it. The whole thing is, suppose